Welcome to PHP Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando. And it's another Monday episode. And this one here, you know, it's kind of a hard one because it's going to hurt a little bit to talk about this.
Yeah, we are real and relevant when we talk about reselling. And so sometimes we got to talk about our regrets. We've never shied away from our failures. Have never been big about just flexing our wins and not talking about our losses. But we figured we'd kind of compile some of the major losses that we've had, not just losses, but just kind of like things that if we could go back in the time machine and change, we would. But I've mentioned this quote before on the podcast, and I think it's a good one. And I might have the years wrong on it, but the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Right? Because It takes a long time to get the shade from a tree or get the fruit from a tree. But you can sit there and regret it, or you can say, okay, well, now I'm going to fix it. So we're going to talk about some of our regrets and ways that we've kind of overcome them. And we'd love to hear down below, what are your reselling regrets? What are the things that if you can go back and change, or lessons that you've learned, and how have you overcome them? And while you're doing that, leave in the comment, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so that you get notifications when we drop episodes. Because as you've noticed, if you've been following us, we're dropping a lot more of YouTube videos. We've got a lot more content coming out, and we'd love to continue to create that content. So we need people watching it.
Yeah, and we're still staying true to our roots of the podcast. We are PHP Podcast, so we got that one episode a week, which maybe in time we'll drop two. But you know, for now, we're going to stay focused on YouTube. It feels that a lot of people are enjoying the YouTube vid, so we just want to keep creating. All right. I think everyone can relate with this. Again, this is a mini-sode. This could end the whole podcast if we wanted, but
yeah, for sure.
We're going to try to keep it short. All right. Everyone can relate with this. Not accepting eBay offers. Right? When you first start reselling, like you put in the sweat equity, right? You went to the thrift store or the garage sale or the, retail arbitrage. You drove out there, you picked it up, you took the pictures, you know exactly what it's worth. And then you get this offer that's at like 60 or 70%, maybe even 80%. You're like, no, this needs to be, if it's $100, they better offer me 90 or above. Sometimes they better offer me 97.99.
Yeah. I remember when I first started, I would turn down offers and basically come back with like $1 or $2 lower than my original. And again, like Orlando was saying, like you put in a lot of work, you understand. But we've talked a lot about the fast nickel, slow dime, and there's definitely a place for slow dime. We definitely think there's certain items worth holding on to and getting the top dollar for. But especially when you're first starting off, what you need more than anything is capital. What you need is to have more capital in your business. And if you can take an item that you bought for $5 and maybe you get a $25 net profit off of it instead of a $35 net profit off of it, that's still a win because that's money you have now. And, the time frame is not quite as long here, but money today is worth more than money tomorrow, not just because of inflation, but also because of opportunity cost. Because that's the real thing. What am I losing out on? And if you just have a bankroll of money and you're not worried about capital, if you're at a place where you're like, I can just spend infinite amount of money on all of my investments, whether it's real estate, stocks, inventory, and I don't have to worry about it, then yeah, sure. Hold off for that top dollar. And if you notice that at garage sales too, like sometimes you go to like the wealthiest houses and they're not willing to negotiate and they want top dollar. It's almost like there's like a disconnect with.
I find it at the wealthiest houses that are house rich and capital poor. Like you can tell because, anyways, this is a whole nother episode, but you can tell like all their money's in their house. And so like whatever valuable stuff that is worth something, like they don't want to sell because that's all they really have. Right? Because I do find that the uber wealthy, they're, unless it's something that's super collectible, like a work of art, they're usually willing to work with you. Right? So no, I get that. I have seen that trend more and more at garage sales though. That is true.
Yep. But it just goes back to that point of you're holding off for that extra 10, 20%, whereas you're losing opportunity cost because you could use that capital to go out, buy more things and get your store really building quickly. And if you've got a huge store, it's the same thing. If you can have a higher monthly income coming in, that's going to serve you in a lot of different ways, right? It's going to allow you to buy more stuff. It's going to allow you to invest in other opportunities that you have. So definitely take the offers. Now, don't be foolish, right? If you know something's worth $100, don't take a $40 offer unless you're really hurting.
Unless it's really slow and you got to trigger the algorithm.
Yeah, I think.
And you only paid like $1 for it.
I think I'm got a new soundboard that I'm going to use. So anytime we talk about the algorithm, I'm going to play like a Twilight Zone sound effect or something.
I'm telling you that it's real. Like if it's a slow day, and I'm sure there are listeners that do this. If it's a really slow day and I get an offer, if it's less than 50% and I paid like a garage sale price for something, I may take it. You know, like just now before the podcast started, I took an offer on something that I had listed for 200. I'm not going to say how much I took, but it was less than 50%. But you know what? I only paid $5 for it.
All right.
So it's still a sweet profit. So
that's good.
You know, take those offers. All right, next. Oh, did you have something to add? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna do the next one.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So the next one that I want to bring up is buying too much electronics, buying a lot of VCRs, buying a lot of.
Unless you enjoy it.
Now, again, this is my regret. So yours might be different. And again, comment below what your regrets might be. But I was really big into buying a lot of audio equipment and VCRs, and there were money. There's money there, but I did not enjoy the testing, the listing, the shipping, all of that. In fact, I'm in the process of moving all of my inventory out, and believe it or not, VCRs is one of the last things I moved out because it's like, oh, it's such a hassle because you got to be careful with them. There's so many of them and in storing them. Now, I've made a lot of money on VCRs, but I don't love it. So I guess the real moral of the story was buying things that I didn't really enjoy reselling just because there was value.
Yeah, and now you have death piles. By the way, you're kind of in like a little movement phase right now. What's happening to those VCRs?
Are you wanting to buy them?
No, I'm just interested.
Well, the funny thing is with those VCRs, I didn't realize all of the ones that I had sitting up there, none of them were listed.
Yeah, I told you that. I'm like, we had a conversation one day. I'm like, hey, are any of those listed? You actually told me no.
Well, I thought there was like 2 or 3 that I didn't have listed, but I've got like 15 VCRs plus some DVD players plus some Blu-ray players that aren't listed. And part of the thing is I took pictures a while back and I tested some of them, and those pictures went into a thing, and I just never listed them. Anyways, that's how much I dislike them. So maybe it's not VCRs for you, but the moral of the story is the regret is buying things that I didn't really enjoy reselling. Now, when I list them and I take the time, I'm going to enjoy the profit. So do what you need to do. But if you have the freedom, do what you love to do.
Actually, prices have gone up. So, you know, it was a good thing.
It was an investment.
It was. All right.
My 401k, my 401 VCR.
401 trash. All right. So to cash. So this one is more for Amazon. For me, it's following the crowd. And if you guys have seen my transformation, I guess on the podcast, you can say that. But you know, I used to be very big on chasing whatever I saw on Instagram that people were chasing, and I lost so much time, and I got myself buried into crazy price wars because everybody's trying to get these hot items. And this last year, I didn't do any of that. I literally, this Q4, I made a ton of money on just the 3 items that I sourced, and these weren't even being talked about on social media. There was somebody that posted it once, like in January, but outside of that, I don't do it anymore. And if you notice, like what Mike and I are really, really good at is garage sales, right? That's my bread and butter. For me, it's garage sales and vintage clothing. And so I stick to what I'm good at. And, you know, I've had some excellent sales. It's been carrying and paying my bills and enjoying me. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah, garage sales enjoy you a lot. And watching some of your videos of your negotiation, man, you're harsh.
Am I really?
You're definitely a little stronger than I am on the I mean, in the sense of, yeah, you push a little more. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's your style.
It's just business.
Yeah, no, I get it. You know, everybody's got to have their own style. We definitely, I might be leaving some money on the table, but yeah.
Okay. I like it. I love it. I mean, it is, if you caught my latest video that, I don't know, whenever we drop this episode, go catch our garage sale videos. You'll see some negotiation.
Yeah. I know sometimes I've noticed you've gotten hate. Like people are like, you know, why do you do that? And whatever. And we talk all the time, like the reasons why we were willing to negotiate hard. But the other thing I was thinking is it can be some people negotiating that hard and bargaining is offensive, and other people, they enjoy it. And I think it's kind of a cultural thing. And by cultural thing, I just mean like what you grew up with. If you never grew up in a environment where there was negotiating, you just pay the price, and that's anything other than that seems rude. And I remember when I was in high school.
This turned into a podcast, by the way, everyone.
It's all right. When I was in high school, we had this Russian kid over as a foreign exchange student. And I remember we were in finance class, and the finance teacher was talking about something, and he said something about, money and being willing to make deals. And this Russian kid said, "My sister makes better deals than you every day. She's 11 years old." And I was like,
wow.
Yeah, this kid knows what he's talking about.
Like
so
Cold War
and that's because they grew up in a culture where you just negotiated everything.
Yeah.
And like you've said in a previous podcast, some people go into stores and everything is if a price is on a thing, it's like, no, it's all up for grabs. So it really just depends on what you're used to. So if you find it offensive, it doesn't mean everybody does. So try not to project too much. And
you actually can catch the one video that I put out there, this isn't even everything, the best garage sale haul of 2021. And that one, I wanted the lady to say, like what I thought. And so she actually said, I actually enjoy the haggling. It's part of what garage sales are about. So understand that, like, when you go out there, they're expecting it. Right. And so, but again, there are some that are like, what? No, like, you pay what I tell you.
Yeah, and you just got to know the difference and move on.
Or just be like Orlando and just keep going. All right.
Next one is not doing local arbitrage sooner.
Oh, yeah.
So this one I waited a long time to do, and it wasn't really until COVID hit. A little bit before this, actually, I started doing, and it was one of a couple of our interviews that we did where people were talking about doing Craigslist, putting Craigslist ads, using Facebook Marketplace. And once I started doing that, and I'm not doing it right now as much as I was a few months ago, but I have had some incredible scores from Facebook Marketplace, from OfferUp, from Craigslist. Some of them ads that I put out, and some of them just me scanning things. And the nice thing is garage sales, I love them. I love the process of garage sales. But if you think about it in a lot of ways, OfferUp is like a constant garage sale that you can just do at, on a Tuesday at 12 o'clock while you're on break from work, right? You can just be looking through stuff and like, ooh, I'm going to make an offer on this. So definitely I would have done that a lot sooner had I really known what I was doing or realized what I was missing out on. So let us know below. Have you found success with local arbitrage? Are you putting it off? Are you like me and you didn't do it for a while? Or are you crushing it on local arbitrage?
It's interesting you say that. So one of my good friends, Kyle, shout out to Kyle if you're watching this episode. He watched if you haven't caught it yet, there's one about locking down local deals. I don't think that's what it's called. That's what I called it. And then Mike changed it. But you know which video I'm talking about. And he watched it and he was encouraged to go. He was trying to find a camper tent. And if you know anything about camping equipment right now, it is through the roof. Like, I think your trailer that you bought like a year ago is probably doubled in value since you bought it. Remember, you got a sweet deal for it, maybe tripled. So he's been having terrible luck. He's been looking, and then he caught our video and he's like, hey, I'm going to try to find one for my family locally. And sure enough, he was able to find one. And so, yeah, you just don't know what's out there locally. I mean, there's so much. So go check out that video, do your safe searches, be willing to take notes, go look. There's so many deals. So I'm gonna wrap it up with mine. It kind of ties in. I wish I did more bulk buys in the beginning. I spent a lot of time in my early days of reselling going to thrift store after thrift store after thrift store after thrift store. And man, I think about the hours I spent. Now, was it fun? Sure it was, right? And I still enjoy doing that. And Mike and I are going to be doing some thrift store videos again. But your best deals come in a bulk buy. And what I mean by bulk buy, it can come in various forms. It could be one where you do an estate sale clean out, like that is top tier. Another one, it could be a local deal where you find someone that has a few items and then you find out that they are willing to sell their entire collection of items. Another one is you could do pallets or you could do a wholesale deal. I mean, whatever way you can find bulk purchases. I haven't mentioned all the ways, but I'm telling you, you get way more ROI when you do a bulk purchase. And I find that you find a lot more quality stuff that way. You got to learn niches. And once you learn niches or niches, whatever you call it, the better equipped you'll be to make a bulk buy, because you'll be able to look at something and go, you know what? I think that pile is actually worth $1,000, right? Where if you don't know anything about stuff, you might be super scared to go, I don't know, $1,000. I don't know if I'll make that money back. But if you really know what you're talking about, you can drop $1,000 on something and it could be, something that gives you back 4 to 5.
Yeah. And one of the benefits too with bulk buys like that is sometimes you pay up, but you can, like you said, thrift stores, you can spend hours going to thrift stores and the ROI might be way better than a bulk buy, but you're picking up 4 or 5 items. Whereas a bulk buy, you might be getting 100,000 items. You know, it could be a crazy amount of items. So even if your ROI is less, the time that you're saving by just guaranteed you've got the items. Recently, eBay Princess, she finally disclosed how much she paid for her Free People, or maybe she already did, but I just saw it. But she bought a Free People palette and has been selling and making a killing on this Free People palette. And she actually took out a loan, and the loan was $200,000, and it's taken a year.
She's a beast,
and she broke even. Right, so it took a year to break. Think about the guts you have to do $200,000 on something, and it take a year to break even. But at this point, who knows how much profit there is, right? Another $100,000, $200,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible what you're capable of doing with a bulk buy. But yeah, sometimes you're paying up, and sometimes it takes a little while before you get to that break even point. But again, you can really pad your store, get your store up really, really high, and then just kind of sit back. Just imagine if you had a sale like that, you can kind of sit back for the next year and just watch the money come in.
And the indirect, consequence of that is you network.
Yeah.
Right. You have a connection now, right? Or they can, like for example, with my Harley's Davidson stuff, I now have several people I've bought bulk purchases from. Well, they're part of, a group that rides every week, right? So they have other friends in there that have contacted me and say, hey, I got stuff here too. You just never know. Bulk buys, I definitely would have done a lot more. Still going to do garage sales because that is the best ROI. And I'm still going to do the thrift because I like the treasure hunt. But if you can do that bulk buy to get you moving, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you found our biggest regrets and turned them into positive things to motivate you to do better.
That's right.
And so with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Blades.
Peace.